Hey, Facebook Live. Donald Burns here, the restaurant coach, and I am so honored to be joined by my good friend, PR consultant to the restaurant gods himself, Andrew Freeman. Man, you're in San Francisco, man. How's San Francisco getting rocked? I mean, like, terrible.
Oh, it is something. Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Donald. It's a pleasure. Obviously, I wish it was under different circumstances where we could be talking about the year we were supposed to have that, we're not having now. San Francisco, honestly, as everybody knows, it's the sort of one of the culinary capitals of the world.
Yes.
And then, we were all, we're previous this, we were, definitely fighting the good fight for restaurants. The Golden Gate Restaurant Association certainly was, because, it's expensive to run a restaurant in San Francisco. So then when this happens and you have to pivot so quickly, we've had a really beautiful pivot by a lot of people, but it's just been, quite frankly, devastating to the industry. I think the stories of resilience that are coming through right now across, not only in San Francisco, but across the world are pretty amazing. But it definitely has been probably the most challenging time, I would say, in our lifetimes, professionally, and something, that nobody expected. So we're doing the best we can here in San Francisco, and everybody's trying to figure it out, but it's day by day.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, you and I go back a while ago. I mean, we first met when I did some consulting for Kimpton Hotels.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, can you believe last month we were in Madrid speaking at Hospitality Innovation Plant with everybody, having a great time, enjoying a bunch of food, wine, and living it up.
We were talking about we were toasting what a great year it was going to be.
Oh, I know.
And how busy we all were, and how much we had going on. And our friend Kelly Jones was opening food halls all over the place. We were opening restaurants and hotels. And I remember we had, on our last day was the first time we heard about it, that something was going on in Italy and China. But we, at that point, we didn't have, nobody could have imagined what this was going to become.
Right.
But yeah, now I understand where we had the convention has been turned into a center for, dealing with the sick. So, yeah. So it's been overwhelming. I can't believe it was only a month ago, not even a month. Yeah.
Yeah. And I talked to Ava just the other day, and she said that the af&co people, they turned that convention center, into a mobile hospital in 3 days, which is amazing.
I just have to say, one thing about our world is we do come together. And I think some of the efforts that, the restaurant industry is doing to support the front lines with Jose Andres and, feeding the front line. I mean, it's pretty amazing that even in these crazy times of absolute, devastation for a lot of these restaurants, they're still focusing on how they can help, and that's what the beautiful spirit of a restaurant is really all about.
Definitely. Yeah, this is where the essence of hospitality really comes to the forefront. Being a host, being there for other people, about serving is what this is all about.
Yeah.
Very end. So
absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how have you been holding up?
Well, I would say that I've been through, interestingly enough, we're old, Donald, right? So,
I know. Here we go.
Okay. So, we've all been, we've been through 9/11 and earthquakes and fires here in the Bay Area. And, resilience is, I think, the warrior spirit comes out in all of us. And that's what I've been really working with our restaurant clients and hotel clients. We have to be warriors right now because, we're in battle, and I personally, my agency, has definitely been impacted. Obviously, we're hospitality based, so we support hotels and restaurants, and just like I'm telling my restaurant and hotel clients, you have to stay in touch. You can't just go completely dark. So what we've been trying to do is offer the very best deals we can, in some cases gratis, just because we don't, these people have been long-term clients and relationships that I've had for many years, and to abandon them right now because they can't pay has been hard. But obviously I've had to make some adjustments, and I have this lean, mean team whose daily sacrifices that are like, I get my gratitude for the folks that are working with me right now goes beyond anything that, I ever thought. And then, with the Carbonate team, our sister company,
Mhm.
they've been lucky in the fact that they were able to pivot very quickly, and so they haven't had to adjust as much as af&co have.
Mhm.
But we're all focused on, obviously trying to figure out how to help them get the aid that they need, because it's so confusing. There's so much. And then also how to start focusing on the future. We're going to come out of this.
Mhm.
We're going to come out of it in a completely new ways that none of us have ever even imagined. And I think everybody's just starting to look at that now. Like, I'm calling it, you can call me a Disney princess, but I'm calling it a whole new world.
A whole new world.
And because that really is truly what it is. It's a whole new world.
It is. It is going to change the whole dynamics of everything. I mean, paradigm shifts. It is going to be totally different. I mean, if restaurants didn't have delivery or takeout before, they're going to have it now.
Yeah, we were talking about how, up till now, it hasn't been profitable for them, but they've been doing it for brand extension and all the convenience for their guests. They're all going to figure out how to make it profitable. That's going to be a positive, a note that comes out of this. I think they're all going to do these meal kits and these takeouts, and because if anybody thinks that the day that we get out of shelter in place, the world's going to come back the way it was.
No.
So we're talking to the restaurants now about, how are you going to reconfigure your dining room for, spatial distancing? And should you have a little community store? Should you continue with the delivery and takeout? Should you continue with virtual series? Like, it's going to be a slow rise to whatever the new normal, if you will, because and that's the hard part, because until we know that we can get out, it's sort of like, how do you even start to, you have to plan for it, because I'm telling a lot of our hotel clients, like, you have to be ready to go, because you're going to have to build up reservations again. Like, you're going to have to, and then the consumer, and working at, like, we would never normally told, restaurant customers all of our, all the methods we use to keep a restaurant clean and safe. I think now it's going to be part of the conversation in a new way, So, so that's one side. The other side is we're all going to have such cabin fever that there's going to be this sense of like, I can't wait to get back out. I just want to get back out and know that I'm going to be okay. I heard this morning that LA is going to quote unquote mandatory face masks.
Are they really?
Yeah. China has done it, and it's evidently brought down the cases. So, but the interesting thing about that is, like, you can't eat through a face mask, right? So I was like, take a bite, lift, take a bite, lift. But I think we're going to see, I think, novelty, and I mean, even in 3 weeks, the way the restaurant industry has pivoted has been, incredible.
Yeah, I mean, meal kits, like you talked about, meal kits I see are the huge new thing. I know pizza places are doing, pizza kits. I know there's people doing, taco kits, take-home taco kits. And it's been really great. People have been very, very creative about how to keep the revenue going.
Yeah, and I sadly, I think some of them might not be able to continue to do it and ride through it, because the longer this happens, a lot of it was just to keep the brand alive and honestly keep some employees on board. Because they try. Because the other thing too is, when they get the green light, starting from scratch and not being able to keep at least your sous chef and your manager, it's going to take them longer to get going, right? So I think the longer we're sheltered, the harder it's going to be to maintain it, because they're not making money. I mean, everybody's just saying, like, if we could just break even, we'll keep our doors open, our lights on. It's important for our communities, to be here for them. But I think the longer it goes, the harder, because there was also all this. I mean, we did it, but all this press and excitement, for all the millions of people that are sheltered in place, that they could order from their favorite restaurants and they could do all that. But keeping that momentum going, and that excitement about it, is going to be harder the longer this goes.
Definitely. So what would be some of your I always look to you as like my communication guy, like, how do restaurants communicate to the public, and how do we keep our brand out there? What would be some of your, let's do it like a do's and don't list.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, obviously some of this is just financially based. Some restaurants made the decision to go into what we're calling hibernation, which means that, turn the lights off, turn the gas off, close the doors, board it up, and wait this out. And then other, some are doing, recipes or whatever. But so I'd say that depending on what you can afford to do, the one thing you should definitely not do is not communicate to your database over the course of this run. You have to, stay in touch socially. And so the restaurants that have decided not to do takeout and delivery, they're doing a weekly recipe share. They're actually letting their guests know where else they could get takeout and delivery, because they're, good neighbor policy, right? So be a good neighbor, would be the first thing. Like, if you're not going to do it, share what other people are doing, because, you want to be an industry player. Do partnerships. Look at who else is struggling with you right now. We have a restaurant here in San Francisco called Canella that partnered with a florist. So every time people go in to get their curbside delivery for a meal kit, they can also get flowers or wine or whatever it is. So look at interesting partnerships. That would be another do. Extend the brand. I'd say for all the restaurants in the world, assign somebody to stay up on all the aid packaging that you can find right now, because the first come first served, right? The people who get there is really key, and it could be a full-time job because there's so much, so I'd say have somebody designated to handle all the funding. That would be a do. And then, if you're going to do takeout and delivery, change the way your restaurant looks. The storefront is crucial. Big signs, we're open, blinking lights, whatever it takes to get people to know that you're there and you're open, because it's a lot of it is going to be impulse buys, not because they're walking down the street, but if they're taking a run and they run past your restaurant and they see you're open, it's important to look at your visual merchandising for how you're going to do all this. There's the don'ts, honestly, would just be don't stop communicating. So, even in hibernation, some of our clients have kept us on, for just to do their social media, to get their recipes done, to help them with that. And then and the more advanced you are, do what we're doing right now. Do Facebook Lives with your guests. Do a quick cooking demo. You can just pivot things based on your comfort level. That's what I'd say. We're looking at partnerships right now with. I'm lucky in the fact that our agency works with the Golden Gate Restaurant Association, and and they're the leading charge in the Bay Area for driving the legislation and the opportunities and everything for the restaurants to survive. So I because of that, I've got a lot of the inside information that our amazing executive director is sharing. But the other side of that is, like, we're organizing a weekly SF Restaurants Rising webinar. That's just going to share data. And then we're also going to do a Chefinar series. There's a great company called Avital Tours, AVITAL Tours, that was a tour company that focused on culinary adventures. They've pivoted to virtual cooking classes, Chefinars they're called, and they're doing it for team building and for for companies that are going to also shift this, shift a lot to online stuff. The one thing that I think is really interesting too is that don't make the assumption that the rest of the world knows what the restaurants are going through.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean. It's really interesting. A lot of my friends who aren't in the industry like I am, think this is a hassle. They're working from home. It's boring. They're not going to be able to get their hair cut, or their nails done. That's me. And so, but they have no idea of the impact this has had on the hospitality industry. So getting the public educated on ways they can help is key. So for instance, if you started a GoFundMe page for your employees, it's really important you communicate that out, to your guests. Everybody keeps saying to me, like, how can we help? How can we help? Well, there's the national funds that you can donate to, like Save Restaurants. And every state is going to have a fund eventually. But the biggest way you could help is pick your 5 favorite restaurants, go to their websites and see if they have a GoFundMe going for their employees and support them that way. I always say, there's that thing that what I put up on Facebook, and I think Brian Duncan shared it with me. Do you remember the restaurants that you used to see at all these charity events? That were supporting your charities? Well, they're the charity now.
Yeah, no, they're the charity now. Yeah, definitely.
They're the charity now. Mm-hmm. And I think if you want to keep the restaurants alive in your communities, you have to support them. Restaurants are the culture of our cities. They're where deals happen. They're where socialization goes. I remember our dinner, Donald, in Spain. That late night dinner where it got pretty rowdy, and you know what I mean.
Got pretty rowdy.
Yeah, and I think about craving those kind of experiences again, right? So, if you want to have those experiences again at the restaurants that you love, you have to support them and you have to get on board, because it's going to be really tough to bring. I think the new statistic is 65% of the restaurants will make it back and 35 won't. So you think about what that's going to do to, the other thing that's interesting, sorry, I'm rambling, but the other thing that's interesting is that restaurants and communities make the communities, right? So if you think about the neighborhood you live in, if those restaurants go away, mm-hmm. then it's also going to start to have an impact on real estate, so the trickle down effect of hotels and restaurants not being able to operate the way they have been is going to have a ripple effect. So, it's dominoing. And, again, I don't want to be doom and gloom, but it's a reality. It's a reality.
Being realist,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always like to ask this question. How long do you think this is going to last?
How long do you think this whole thing will last?
I think it's going to last.
Well,
people are going to start going back.
This is going to sound like doom and gloom for a minute, but I will, and then I'll clarify. I think when we get the green light that it's okay to go out again, mm-hmm. we will go out with a caution, yes. And I think, sadly, I think the airlines are going to struggle most with that, because they're going to have to figure out, like, literally filling the plane at 50% capacity and distancing everybody. And, fortunately, our friends at the cruise lines and, I think hotels will have a bit of an easier comeback, as long as they're assuring guests that they're cleaning appropriately. One of our clients that did stay open is Pineapple Hotels, and mm-hmm. They put out an email yesterday that if somebody's going to stay with them, they won't occupy that room when that person leaves again for 72 hours.
Oh, wow.
Now, granted, right now they have the space to do that but if you think about thinking in that way, they're going to clean it and then they're going to let it sit for 72 hours to make sure it's, clean as possible. So, so to answer your question, I think, once we know we're allowed to go back out, and I do think it's going to be with a lot of restrictions at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And it's going to sort of ebb up. Now, the bit of the concerning part is that the word on the street is that we might have to go into quarantine again in the fall because there's a likelihood this might come back, and so I think we're going to be prepared for it if we have to do it this time. But I think that I think it's going to be an interesting 6 months. The big answer is when we can all get vaccinated. That's when the world will come back to complete normal, because everybody will be like, okay, I'm vaccinated now, so I can go to an arena again. I can go to a concert again. But I think everything's going to open, and it's going to be like, I keep going back to, it sounds so corny, but this whole new world. It's like, it's going to be the way, even like arenas, if basketball or one of the sports baseball comes back.
Right.
Baseball has a little bit easier because it's outside mostly. But I think it's going to be like sell half the arena and let everybody spread out. It's going to be the hand washing on the way in, gloves, masks, whatever it is. We're going to have this. It's going to be a slow rise. I just want people to eat. But I will tell you this: there's going to be people like me that are going to be like, I'm going to be as safe as I can, but I am going back to a restaurant.
Right.
I want to see my friends. I want to support the chefs, So we're looking at what we're calling the restaurant stimulus package, about, here it because we also know that restaurants and hotels won't have the same money they had prior to this all happening, and that'll be a rise. So we're pivoting to come up with, here's for this amount of money, we'll get your social going again, we'll get your website updated, we'll get the word out via the media that you're open again, and we'll just package it and sell. So that's what we're working on right now.
Cool. What would be the first restaurant you go to?
Oh my gosh. I would go to any of my clients because I want them to survive. That's how I feel. So I'd probably, every night, my life was, but first of all, I never cook. So this shelter in place crap,
oh my God.
I am eating I'm doing the best I can, to stay healthy, but I live my life in restaurants. And so the minute I can get out, even though I'll be on a budget too, because we have been impacted, I will go and have a appetizer and a cocktail for 20 days straight at every restaurant that's open, just to show them my support. And I believe that those kind of campaigns will start to happen, restaurant months, and, because all we can really do is once they're open and they're green lighted, we have to drive the public into them to get them back up on their feet.
Exactly. So as soon as you can take a trip, what's the first place you want to go on a trip to?
Do you want to know? You want to know the really sad, effed up reality of this whole thing?
What?
My two best friends are turning 60 in October, and we had a magnificent Italian trip planned.
You're not going to Italy. You're not going to Italy.
And so I want to say that I'll be one of the first people that'll feel comfortable once I know it's okay to travel again. But I think it's going to be a car trip to the beautiful Napa Valley or Sonoma, where I can drink a lot of wine, sit outside, relax. And I will say this: one of our predictions is drive-in vacations, driving to places.
Oh, wow.
is going to be. People, listen, everybody's going to need a break, right? They still have summer vacations planned. Granted, we all have a lot less money, but I also feel like the travel companies are going to be offering amazing deals, to get that moving as well. But I think a lot of people are going to feel way more comfortable getting in their car and driving someplace, and then going to a place where there can be a lot of relaxation, meditation, outdoor, blah 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 blah. So I think we're going to pivot the 60th anniversary to a wine country trip.
Oh, very cool. So, if people don't know, Andrew is the kind of go-to guy for trends in the United States. All news agencies, restaurant brands all look to Andrew and say, they go to him in December and say, hey, what's the big trends coming in 2020? And Andrew looks into his crystal ball and makes these predictions. And then you presented that when we were in Spain at Hospitality Innovation. What would you change now?
So funny, my partner in crime, Candace McDonald, who runs our agency Carbonate, she and her team are working on trends right now, like just the impact.
Oh, the impact of trends? Are they really?
Yeah, the impact of this. We had a conversation yesterday, and tomorrow they'll be on the Carbonate group website, carbonategroup.com. There'll be a thought capital piece about how the trends have changed since this is opened. I will say that, some of the basics, like the new popularity of canned food, is something that is definitely going to be interesting. I think
how many spams coming back.
I bet you it is. There's a lot of talk around, carbs making a comeback, right? Because of pastas and bread baking and all those things. The virtual reality concept that we sort of touched on at the trend report, I thought, I think that's going to be cultural for our industry following this. Obviously, making money on takeout and delivery, where you can make it profitable, is going to become, very important to this. And, and then I was mentioning drive-in vacations, but also just, there's, I just think, the whole concept of talking about health and wellness as it relates to restaurants.
Yes.
So some of and then partnerships, really creative partnerships, because, we're going to want to support each other. Like the restaurant supporting the arts, because they've been really hit.
Mm-hmm.
However you can partner up. So I think the real play on partnership. So yeah, so tomorrow you can download a Thought Capital. There's 3 Thought Capital pieces. One is about how to pivot the business.
Awesome.
And so and then the trends.
And it's and I put the website link up on the page there, carbonategroup.com. They can go there and get it tomorrow.
Yep.
Cool.
I think they're being uploaded as we speak.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Candace is awesome. I had the pleasure of she was with us 2 years ago in Spain when we did Hospitality Innovation Plant. The first year we did Team USA. And let me ask you a question.
We were all supposed to be at the restaurant and bar show in Vegas this past week.
Bar. We were supposed to be doing a presentation together. But now I got moved to June, so we'll still be there.
Yeah, I hope so.
I think it'll still go. I think June. I think by June we'll be okay.
Okay, I hope so.
I don't think it's going to be as crowded as it was, but
oh no, I think that's intentional. That's what I mean. I think none of us are going to feel comfortable going into the crowded spaces right away. So I think they're going to have to make it intentionally lighter. Yeah.
In fact, I've already talked to you about I'm doing an online summit in May called Conquer. It's the C19 Online Restaurant Summit. I know Andrew's going to be a speaker. I was going to hope that you could, kind of sweet talk Candace into doing a session.
I will sweet talk her into it.
Good. Yeah.
The one thing about Candace right now is she's a superwoman because she's got 5 kids, as you know, and they're all home.
5 kids.
5 kids.
I did not know she had 5 kids. She does not look good to have 5 kids.
Yeah, and she had 4 of them while working with me. So that's and they're not mine. They're not mine. But
let's clarify that, right?
She is Wonder Woman right now because she's got all 5 kids and they're all under the age of 10.
Oh wow!
From 3 to 10 at home with her and her husband, and so it's homeschooling and so she is really a pretty incredible lady.
No, she is an amazing woman. Yeah, she is a creative strategist mastermind. She's awesome.
Yeah, I have to say I'm blessed with a team that is just they're diehard hospitality folks. So they've made major concessions to me to help me ride through this, and I'm I'm blessed.
I love your team. I've been to your office before. They're an awesome team. I love your team because they're always quoting my book.
Oh yes, that's right. Yes, yeah.
What would Donald do? What would Donald say?
Yeah. Well, we always crack up too about I make fun of you with this, your 3rd book can't be Your Restaurant Still Sucks, because if after 3 books,
the first one, yeah, I thought the first one, your restaurant sucks. That was good. Then of course, your restaurant still sucks. Now the 3rd one, I'm like, yeah, man, I really can't keep going with this.
Absolutely.
Your restaurant really sucks.
Yeah.
You probably close. That would be the 3rd one.
Time for a reconcept.
Time to rethink your career. Yeah, definitely. Oh, it's terrible, but yeah, it's the truth. So, what should restaurants be doing right now? A lot of restaurants are either, like you said, they're closed. Closed down. Some are doing takeout and delivery. But what should they be doing now to get ready for kind of I'm going to say it's going to be like a reopening.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Really realistically, I think right now, everybody had to focus on cost control, right? Because, honestly, the business, even the ones that are doing delivery,
Right.
I've heard a couple of success stories, for sure. And that was all about how do we get on every platform right away? So that's one thing. If you're doing it, you got to get the word out on every platform, everywhere you can, right? Because the more people that know you're doing it, the better. You have to incent your group of people to continue to come back to you, just like you would with a regular restaurant. So for instance, run a contest once a week for complimentary dinner, just to keep dinner delivery, just to keep things, you have to really think like, if my business is takeout and delivery, how do I pivot the model of what I'm doing to really say, this is my new business for now, and how am I going to market this business in every possible way, right? So that starts with the delivery partners. That starts with your website. That starts with, are you going to do takeout and delivery or just takeout? Like the partnerships, all that. Like you have to look at everything. And I know you're operating on a really lean, mean team. So, and that's the hard balance. One of my restaurant clients said they're working harder now than they ever worked, even when they were opening the restaurant, because they're doing it all themselves. So right now, if you're going to do the delivery and takeout model, that's what you should be doing right now. And then put an hour aside a week or 2 hours aside to start to think about what the other side of this is going to look like for you, and how you're going to come back. And funding is going to be really tight, as we all know. So when you do get that earmarked funding, you've got to put some aside for the marketing and PR, because there's going to be a lot of clutter, right? Everybody's going to want to know that, everybody's going to want the public to know that they're reopened, so you're going to have to break through that with some traditional and non-traditional ways, obviously with Google and the different search engines and things like that to rise to the top. Now, the best part about this is OpenTable, Google, Yelp. Well, Yelp right now is, but I think that they're reevaluating what they put out there, but they're all on board to help, So you have to, so the other thing I would say is like, take advantage of every resource you can get your hand on, not just for money, but for promotion, promotion of your restaurant and promotion of what you're going to do. So to answer your question, focus on delivery and takeout as your new business model for now. Right. Put a marketing and PR plan together for your relaunch, and have that set and ready to go, because you want to get there first. You want to let people know we're opening on this date, or we're going to be, whatever it is, or we're going to, and then finally just stay in touch, with your people.
You should, because I think virtual, in this new world here that we're seeing is really new things. I'm pivoting a lot of my brand, my business to kind of the virtual conference, virtual online training, stuff like that. Maybe you and I should work together, and we should maybe do a program for, basic PR for restaurants that we could offer people that are at a pretty decent price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because some of them, as much as I don't want to say this, because this is my business model, some of them will need to do some of this themselves to get started.
And this is smaller restaurants that maybe aren't at that point where they can afford a big name PR firm yet.
Yeah. Right. I will say this though, it's interesting with the clients that have, sort of gone into hiatus or put us on hold. Several of our smaller restaurants are the ones that kept us on, because they were like, we're going to be so busy, like we really need you. You know what I mean? So like one of our clients who's just been doing really, really well, just said, like, if I have to focus on that now, when I just have to get the doors open and get the food made and get, so he was like, you're going to be the last cut I'm going to make, because you're my connection to the public. You know what I mean? Exactly. So, I'm giving myself a shameless plug here, but you shouldn't, like, you have to, like, the last thing you should cut is, unless you can do it yourself, the last thing you should cut is, getting, just having that connection to the public and somebody who knows how to do it, do it well.
Yep. So Ron, Bo, we both know Bo really well. He has a question for us. Do you think brands should be building safety and information messages now for the relaunch, and what are they doing to manage food differently, manage dining differently, pick up differently, etc.? This is the big PR stuff I think people should be working on now. What do you think?
You're absolutely right, Bo. How are you? He was in Spain with us. He's a crazy man. Anyway, to answer your questions, yes to all. I would say, we've been this is a really interesting conversation we were having yesterday. Should chef food photos now be showing them wearing gloves? We would have never done that in the past. You know what I mean?
I know.
Yeah, we would have never done that in the past. Obviously, don't show crowded dining rooms right now. So all the ways you're going to market are going to be around social distancing,
Yep.
safety, and so your plan should include that messaging. Absolutely. Not to the point that, we've sterilized this environment for you,
Right.
but just that we're taking all the precautions. And we were thinking about that yesterday. We have a client, Chowbotics, which, by the way, is doing really, really well because they're the salad making robot, and so they're going into a lot of the hospitals and grocery stores, places where there were salad bars, and they were talking about how they're changing their marketing messaging to show how the ingredients are transferred into the canisters and their hands, and all that. I think that's really key. So I think as you look at your marketing approach for both hotels and restaurants, it's going to be, how are you going to portray this safety? Some of the car companies have done this amazing. I can't even believe how fast they reacted, but the Hyundai TV commercials right now talk about safety and and wellness and all that. So I think safety, health, wellness, and yet this idea, like the socialization is so important to our lives, but it's just going to be like, how do you feel comfortable in the environment? So to Bo, to answer your question, you should absolutely be working on it right now, because if you wait too long, you're gonna get behind in the comeback.
Right. Definitely. Yeah, and this thing will end like everything in life. It's a cycle.
Oh, I think about when our grandkids, and we're long gone. This is history. We're living history right now. This is the plague. This is the modern day plague, that we're going through right now. And the world has survived, and so will we. But I think I'm going to be posting a blog to my website tomorrow called A Whole New World. So I'm editing it right now, but you can find it on the website tomorrow. And we'll also share it on our social channels. But it's just my take on what has happened in the last 3 weeks, and how I see the pivot, if you will. I haven't gotten into the tips for what to do yet. That's next. Mm-hmm. But I think just the fact that we have to get our minds around it.
Very cool. Yeah, I've been putting up tons of content. I've been using this downtime as a chance to kind of regroup and refocus. So it's been really, really great. So
I wish I could say that, it's interesting. I wish I could say that we've had a lot of downtime, but it's been a lot of putting out fires, right? And I in my blog, I equate it to an earthquake. Like, we sort of got a few shakes, but we had no idea the level of the destruction, that this earthquake was going to do. Right. And now, now it's sort of rising from the ashes to sort of rebuild. And so, I think everybody was in shock the first 2 weeks. So there wasn't a lot of productive, they switched to delivery and takeout, but there wasn't a lot of productive thinking about what is this going to look like when it is indeed, when we're moving past it.
Right. Yeah. The only reason I've had downtime is I spend so much time on the road working hands-on plans. Like, I'm usually on the road 4 weeks out of the month.
Yeah. Are you doing a lot of those social happy hours and all that stuff? Is that your?
I'm doing tons of Zoom calls, tons of content development, a lot more, shifting my focus. I'm also, I think starting Monday, I don't want to crowd too much stuff online, but I'm doing with Bruce Irving, who runs Smart Pizza Marketing. He's holding a little pizza summit online, Pizza Summit 2020, could be 3 days and stuff like that. So, and I have to say, he gave me the ideas like, we should do a summit too. So that's why we're doing the Conquer online summit in May. And I figured, especially since the NRA show got canceled, because that's usually a great show for everybody. And I like to go there to get, inspiration and get some ideas. And since that was shut down, I was like, what can we do to kind of fill the void? And I came up with this Conquer Summit, and I'm out. Bo's going to be a speaker on it. I know Kelly Jones is going to be on there. I got most of the team from USA is already committed. I'm still trying to, twist Brian Duncan's arm, but.
It's interesting. One of the things that I also want to mention is that, as you start to look forward, think about, new, like you said, like what you've learned from this and the new opportunities that'll be presented to you, because, whatever happens, something good is going to come out of all of this, right? We may not know it yet, but I definitely think that, that's, it's just really important that you start to, so use this time to evaluate your brand, use this time to think about how you're going to pivot your model, and what that's going to look like. That's, that's what I think everybody should be doing right now, because, I keep thinking about like, what are going to be the learning lessons that we're going to take away from this, and how are we going to apply them to our business?
Exactly. No, this is exactly the time to kind of reevaluate. And for a lot of my clients, this is a good reset, an opportunity to, maybe things got a little sideways. Maybe, your culture got a little, maybe a little toxic, who knows, or you weren't doing things the way you should have been doing, like not running your numbers 100% the way you should have been running them, or keeping track of certain key performance indicators or KPIs. Now's the time to really jump on and get back, getting some good habits again.
Yeah. And also, I will say this, restaurants are usually incredibly generous, and it's okay to be a little selfish right now, because you are like, there's nothing more important than bringing yourself back and taking care of your employees. And so, even with the few people that I had to say goodbye to, like, my dream is to get that they'll all be available when I'm ready, and they'll be able to come back, because it was probably one of the hardest days of my life, and especially because we had to do it virtually. Like, there was no way to connect with people, so I think this need for connection, I think we're all going to be a little like kooky when we, when we come out of this. We're all going to have like really long hair. We're all going to be really hairy. We're not, like, Donald, you haven't been able to go to Orange Theory. Like, I mean, I know.
That is like driving me crazy right now. No Orange Theory. Yeah.
Like, all of our habits are just being shattered, and so, and we're all trying to stay healthy. I just think, which is great, and thank God for the gyms that are doing online workouts and all that. But I think it's not the same. You're alone in your house, in your living room, and
I'm trying. I'm trying hard to work out at home. I'm tough.
So I definitely, what I would say is, like, getting back out there, and then also, I think naturally, really, I think the industry is going to support the industry first. So we'll probably be the first ones eating in everybody else's restaurants.
Oh yeah.
I think the general public, might be a little behind, because they're probably a little more fearful than we are, because we want to go back out. But there's a lot of interesting opportunities, and I think having a regular share of those opportunities is going to be really key.
Yep, it's going to be. One thing I have to say a good thing that came out from all this is that last year I had a restaurant mastermind group, but I had to shut it down because I was traveling so much. But now, since my business model has totally changed, I'm going to be reopening my restaurant masterminds, and I'm going to hopefully have some, great friends on there, and speakers, consultants like you and Bo and Craig Shelton on there. So I'm going to be reopening my restaurant masterminds in mid-April. So if people want to get some information on it, in fact, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make some sweet deals for the people that contact me at first to get them on board. And basically, you'll get quite a bit of time for free before you have to be charged. I'm kind of writing this out with you, so I'm looking forward to that. Hey, I want to do a book giveaway.
Hey, Donald, can I mention one more thing before you do that? Because this is in my mind right now. So for the restaurants and restaurants that are open, you should be thinking of it the way you would think of a normal restaurant. For instance, Easter's coming up, Passover's coming up. So different holidays, springtime things. So promoting meal kits, dishes, treat it like we're having 4 of our restaurants are all doing Passover Seder menus.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. And what's kind of cool about that is they're suggesting that everybody orders it, and then you go onto a Zoom and you do the Seder together online with the same food. So I think the same thing for Easter, so I would just say, like, get in the mindset of, like, looking at the calendar for the fun days, and doing just crafting your takeout and delivery menus around holidays and everything like that. So I wanted to get that point in, because I know Bo had asked. So now back to the book giveaway.
No, so anyway, I was going to say, I'm going to add on to that. Cinco de Mayo is going to be really sad, me drinking at home tequila by myself. Okay.
You think about, like, if you got 10 friends and
we're all
you,
and
you'll have margaritas, like a recipe from a great restaurant, and somebody's guacamole dip, and everybody orders Mexican from their local Mexican place, and you have a Cinco de Mayo party.
Oh, Bo put up a comment. I think honey baked hams.
Yeah,
honey baked hams.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, but that's really interesting. I'm hoping we're out by May 5th, but right now in San Francisco, it's May 3rd. So Cinco de Mayo could be our release from hell. You know what I mean? Like we could be like,
what are you doing the first day you get out? I'm going to Cinco de Mayo, man. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That's all right. No, you're fine. All right, so book giveaway. I'm gonna give away my second book, Your Restaurant Still Sucks. First person who can answer this question correctly in the chat. What hotel group did Andrew and I first meet at? If you know the answer, put it up on there. First person to answer correctly gets the book. No one answers.
Should I give somebody a hint?
The hotel chain's in San Francisco. How's that? That's a good hint, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's like the biggest
Right.
hint.
Huh?
There's only like a couple big, huge restaurant brands. Ron says I would, but yeah, Ron already has a copy of my book, so he can't. He's not.
That's right. I think a lot of people.
Diane, right there. Diane Lester. Diane wins. Diane.
Oh, hi, Diane. That's nice. Okay,
You know
I know Diane. I know Diane. That's great.
Right.
Well, hi, Diane.
Message me your address, and I will get a book out to you, signed, of course. Thank you for playing along. Awesome. Yes. Andrew and I met back at Kimpton Hotels in the years gone by.
Oh my gosh, that was a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Diane said thank you. Awesome. Yeah, Diane, message me on Facebook your address, and I'll make sure you get a copy of the book. Okay. I want to say thank you so much, Andrew.
Thank you for doing this, Donald. It's great. It's a great way to connect with people, and I really appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. And then, of course, if you need to connect with Andrew, you can always go to af&co.com. Got tons of information on there. Look out for his new blog tomorrow. And if you're looking tomorrow, you said Carbonate is putting out some stuff too, right?
Yeah, carbonategroup.com.
Carbonate.com is on the screen.
They're putting up 3 thought capital pieces around the whole COVID-19 crisis.
Yeah, the biggest thing you can do right now, don't go dark, don't go quiet. Keep communicating. In fact, I tell all my clients, up your communication. You got to know people that you're being positive, and don't get all gloom and doom on people.
It's easy. You just you wake up every morning and you say, I forgot what day it is because it's all melting into one. But you gotta stay focused on the future.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, Andrew, again, thanks for stopping by. Please be safe out there. Stay healthy, and I will speak to you soon.
Thanks again, Donald.
Thank you.
Bye.